What if the one that got away wasn't just a crush, but someone who fundamentally challenged everything you thought you knew about relationships? We're diving deep into the raw, unscripted regret of a man who lost the Sigma female he never truly appreciated until she was gone. Her unique qualities, her independence, and the profound impact she left on his life will make you rethink your own past choices. At first, he didn't get it. He thought she was too much, too independent, too mysterious, too quiet in a way that made him uncomfortable. She didn't open up like others. She didn't lean in. She wasn't overly sweet or validating. And for a guy used to being needed, that felt off. It bruised his ego in a way he didn't understand back then. He thought she was just playing hard to get, but she wasn't playing at all. That was just her. She didn't need to perform. She didn't need to chase, and that confused him. She wasn't impressed by his usual charm, didn't laugh at jokes just to keep things smooth, didn't adjust herself to make him feel bigger. She had her own world, her own mind, her own mission, and he couldn't figure out if she was uninterested or just unbothered. Turns out it was the second one. She didn't need him, and that hit differently. Most people want love to feel like survival, like oxygen, but she already knew how to breathe on her own. She didn't collapse into people. She stood next to them, strong, whole, self-contained. He wasn't used to that. He thought needing someone was love. So when she didn't rely on him, he saw it as coldness. But nah, she was focused. She had goals. She had her boundaries. She didn't pretend to be soft when she wasn't feeling it. She didn't fake affection. She didn't text back out of guilt or fear. And she didn't stick around just because they had history. She had standards, and when something didn't sit right with her, she didn't talk about it 20 times. She just left, calmly, quietly. That calmness, it haunted him, because it wasn't anger, it was final. That's when it started to hit. That wasn't detachment, that was self-respect. And it shook him, because real self-respect, it's rare. Most people crumble when you pull away. She didn't. She rose. The second she walked away, the energy shifted. No begging, no games, no scenes, just silence. And that silence echoed, louder than any fight ever could. When a Sigma female moves on, it's not with noise. There's no mess, no broken glass, no late-night texts, no last attempts, just distance. And that kind of goodbye, that's the one you feel forever. At first, he thought she was just doing what people do, pull away for attention. But days passed, then weeks, then months, and she stayed gone. No closure, no long speech, nothing. That silence. It started screaming. He played it all back in his head. The way she didn't beg, the way she didn't try to fix it, the way she didn't need to explain. She just knew her worth and walked away from anything that didn't see it. And now he's stuck with the noise, replaying the way she made him feel, the way she saw him, really saw him, but didn't stay to fix him. Here's the truth. He didn't just lose a woman. He lost a mirror, one that reflected back everything he wasn't ready to deal with. Her presence revealed the work he hadn't done. Her absence showed him just how far he had to go. And that's why it stings. Not just because she left, but because she showed him who he really was, and then disappeared before he could fix it. So why does he keep thinking about her? Here's what's really going on. 1. The Sigma female didn't need him, but still chose him. That hit different. Because in a world where people cling to each other out of fear, out of loneliness, out of not knowing who they are, she stood out. She wasn't chasing connection to feel whole. She already was. And he knew that. From the first time they spoke, he felt it. That steady, calm energy. Like she could walk away at any moment and not look back. Not because she was cold, not because she didn't care, but because her life didn't revolve around anyone else's presence. She wasn't desperate to be chosen. She wasn't waiting. She had options. She had peace. She had herself. And still, she picked him. That kind of love. It's rare and scary, because when someone doesn't need you, you can't manipulate them. You can't guilt them. You can't hold mistakes over their head. You have to meet them as an equal, and he didn't know how to do that. He was used to being needed. He was used to women twisting themselves to keep his attention. But the Sigma female never did that. She didn't lower her standards. She didn't over-explain herself. She showed up whole, steady, and sure. And the truth? He didn't know how to receive that kind of love. He thought love was about saving someone, or being saved. But the Sigma female didn't need saving. She just wanted to grow beside someone. She wanted partnership, not ownership. She didn't give her time to anyone who couldn't respect that. So when she picked him, it wasn't out of loneliness. It was because she saw something real. She saw potential. She believed in what they could build together. But he took it for granted. He thought her love would always be there. He didn't realize what it meant to be chosen by someone who doesn't need you. And now that she's gone, it all makes sense. He misses her not just because of what they had, but because of what it meant. She loved with freedom, not control, not fear, not ego, just presence. That's the difference. That's what makes the Sigma female unforgettable. She's not trying to fill a void. She's not asking someone to fix her. She's not chasing validation. She knows her worth. And when she shares her space with someone, it's because she sees value in them, not because she's scared to be alone. And now he understands that love rooted in freedom is the only kind that actually lasts. It doesn't suffocate, it doesn't beg, it just is. It's strong because it doesn't have to force anything. And that's what he lost. Not a girl who needed him, not a partner who depended on him to breathe, but a woman who was full, glowing and complete, with or without him, and still made space for him in her world. That kind of love doesn't come twice. That kind of love doesn't chase after you when you fumble it. The Sigma female gave him her time, her loyalty, her presence, and all without needing a damn thing back. That's what made it real. That's why he can't forget her. Hold up. If this is hitting something real for you, take a second to like the video. It helps push this message to more Sigma females who need to hear it. All right, let's keep going, because it gets deeper. 2. The Sigma female never begged for his attention, not once. She didn't text him 10 times in a row. She didn't double back when he went quiet. She didn't chase him around trying to get noticed. She showed up fully present, fully whole, and let her presence speak for itself. That's the thing about Sigma females. They don't fight to be seen. They don't perform. They don't lower their energy to get a reaction. If you notice them, you notice them. If you don't, they keep moving. And back then, he didn't get it. He mistook her calm for disinterest. He thought she wasn't that into him. But really, she just wasn't into begging. She didn't do the whole pick-me thing. She had her own lane, and she stayed in it. That's what made her so magnetic, so grounded, so rare. She gave him attention, sure, but it was never desperate. It was measured, intentional, balanced. The kind of energy that says, I like you, but I don't need you. That balance, it threw him off. He was used to women needing validation, constantly chasing his time, his energy, his crumbs. The Sigma female, she didn't do crumbs. She either got the full meal or walked away hungry and made her own damn dinner. That level of self-control, it's powerful. And back then he didn't know how to handle it, so he played it cool. Delayed responses, half-effort plans, mixed signals, thinking she'd keep trying. But she didn't. She noticed the energy shift and she backed off, quietly. No drama, no exit speech, no guilt trip, just distance. And now, that distance feels endless. Now that he's craving her attention, it's nowhere to be found. He checks her socials. Nothing. He watches her stories. She doesn't watch back. He sends that just checking in message. No reply. That silence, it's louder than any argument they ever had, because it's not silence filled with hate or bitterness. It's clean, empty, final. That's what stings. She's not mad. She's not broken. She's just gone. And the worst part, he knows exactly why. She gave him space. She gave him room to step up. And he didn't. So now that he's finally ready, she's already done. He's looking for a door that doesn't exist anymore. That's what happens when you take a Sigma female's presence for granted. She won't yell. She won't chase. She'll just disappear. And she won't come back. Not because she's punishing you, but because she respects herself too much to re-enter a space that once made her feel unseen. That silence, it's not emptiness, it's power, it's peace. It's the sound of a woman who knows her worth and doesn't need to prove it to anyone. He used to hear from her daily. Now it's nothing. Not a text, not a like, not a glance. And that nothing feels heavier than anything he's ever known. Because deep down, he knows, when a Sigma female stops giving you attention, it's already over. You don't get another shot. You don't get to come back once she's left in silence. That silence, it's the closure. It's the answer. And it hurts like hell. 3. The Sigma female had depth. That's what set her apart. Not just pretty or fun or good company. She had layers. Real ones. You couldn't figure her out in a week. You couldn't read her after 2 conversations. She wasn't surface level. She wasn't curated for attention. She didn't just post quotes about being deep. She was deep. And it wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. Her depth showed up in how she thought, how she listened, how she responded, how she carried silence. She didn't jump into small talk just to fill space. She spoke when she had something to say, and when she did, it landed. She had goals, not the trendy kind, not the ones that sound cute in a caption, but real, personal ones, goals that scared her and shaped her. She was always working on something, always building, always learning. She read, she thought. She asked questions that made you pause, and she wasn't impressed by clout, titles, or shiny distractions. That's the part he didn't expect. He was used to being enough just by showing up, used to charm getting him through. But that didn't work on the Sigma female. She didn't care who he knew or what he had. She cared about character, alignment, energy. And if his didn't feel right, she'd stay cool and keep it moving. No hard feelings, no explanations. She didn't argue for her value. She just didn't hand it out easily. And that frustrated him at first, because she wasn't easy to impress. Not because she was difficult, but because she knew who she was. Her sense of self didn't bend to who was in the room. She wasn't trying to be the most liked, the most followed, or the most available. She was just real, rooted, sure. That kind of depth, it makes you feel seen. And when you're not ready for it, it also makes you uncomfortable. He felt it, in how she asked him what he really wanted out of life, in how she could tell when he was saying something just to sound good, in how she never forced the conversation, but somehow always made it meaningful. She didn't pretend to understand everything. She just stayed curious, open, sharp. That presence, it left a mark. Back then, he couldn't put his finger on it. But now, he can't unfeel it. He meets other people, and it's just not the same. They may be fun, beautiful, easy to talk to, but they don't challenge him. They don't hold the mirror. They don't ask him to level up without saying a word. The Sigma female didn't try to fix him or coach him. She just embodied the kind of self-awareness he hadn't found in anyone else. And now, that absence feels massive, like something's missing, because when you've been around someone with real depth, surface-level stuff just doesn't hit the same. It feels flat, rehearsed, boring. The Sigma female didn't entertain. She impacted. She made you think. And now that she's gone, he finally sees how rare that really is. Real quick, if you're feeling this, hit that subscribe button. This space is for Sigma women who aren't here to settle, beg, or perform. We're keeping it honest, raw, and real. Now, let's talk about attraction and why the Sigma female never has to chase it. 4. The Sigma female called him out without raising her voice. She didn't need to yell. She didn't need to explode. She didn't do scenes. What she did was way more powerful. She made him stop in his tracks with just a look, just a pause, just a boundary he didn't expect. It wasn't loud, but it was sharp, and it cut through the ego like nothing else. She saw through the performance, through the front, through the little tricks he thought no one noticed. She saw the games. She saw the insecurity hiding underneath the confidence, and instead of reacting emotionally, she just didn't play along. That shook him. He was used to pushback. He was used to arguments. He knew how to defend himself in fights. But with her, there was no fight. There was just truth. Calm, direct, clean truth. And that made it harder to ignore. Because you can tune out noise, you can block out yelling, but silence mixed with facts, that stays with you. She'd call him out by simply naming what she saw, not with attitude, not with judgment, just with honesty, like, that's not leadership, that's control, or, that wasn't about protecting me, that was about protecting your image. Statements like that. They hit different, because they weren't attacks, they were reflections, and that forced him to look at himself, to actually sit with his behavior. He couldn't flip it on her, he couldn't gaslight or spin it. She didn't react the way he was used to. No emotional breakdown, no begging, just boundaries. Like, I don't do that kind of energy, or, if that's how it's gonna be, I'm out. And she meant it. She didn't threaten to leave to test him. She actually left when something didn't align. That's what made him nervous. She wasn't attached to the outcome. She didn't need the relationship more than she needed her peace. That level of self-control, it was terrifying and magnetic. Because even when she was upset, she stayed grounded. Her tone didn't shift to guilt or manipulation. She didn't try to make him feel bad. She just said what needed to be said and let the silence do the rest. And the thing is, he heard it. Even when she said almost nothing, he heard it all. Her silence had weight. Her words had clarity. Her boundaries weren't threats, they were promises. And when she drew a line, he felt it. Deep. Because it wasn't meant to hurt him. It was meant to protect her. That realization, it hit late, but when it hit, it stuck. Now he remembers those moments. The way she looked at him when he slipped. The way she pulled back when he crossed a line. The way she left the room instead of escalating it. That's what made her powerful. She didn't need to dominate. She didn't need to prove anything. She just was. Solid, sure, and unwilling to shrink herself for anyone. That's how the Sigma female holds space. She doesn't raise her voice, she raises the standard. And once you've been around that kind of woman, anything less feels empty. He didn't realize it then, but now. He can't stop hearing everything she said without saying much at all. 5. The Sigma female protected her peace like it was sacred. That wasn't a slogan or a cute quote to her, it was real. Her peace wasn't up for negotiation. It wasn't something she sacrificed just to keep someone else comfortable. If a situation didn't feel right, she didn't stay in it. If a conversation turned toxic, she shut it down. If a connection drained her, she disconnected. Simple as that. She didn't argue to be heard. She didn't fight for validation. She didn't need to win anyone over to feel valuable. She didn't scream to make a point. She knew her truth, and that was enough. And when people tried to pull her into drama, she didn't take the bait. She walked away. Not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. She had no interest in chaos. She didn't feed on emotional noise. She valued calm. She valued clarity. She built her life around stillness, not because she was boring, but because she had outgrown the noise. And back then, he didn't get it. He thought passion meant arguing. He thought love meant being loud and intense and messy. But the Sigma female wasn't messy. She was steady. She didn't react to provoke. She responded to protect her space. And when someone disrespected that space, she didn't fight them. She removed them. With grace, with silence, with peace. That threw him off. He was used to women defending themselves loudly, chasing closure, chasing explanations. But the Sigma female didn't do that. She never needed to prove anything. She never needed to outtalk anyone. She just had that quiet strength, that kind of energy that stays with you long after she's gone. Because it made the whole room feel different. It made the relationship feel different. Being around her felt like breathing clean air. And now, that air's gone. And everything feels heavy again. Because now he sees it. Her energy wasn't controlling, it was cleansing. She didn't add stress. She dissolved it. She didn't bring tension. She brought balance. She was the calm in the chaos. And he took it for granted. He didn't realize what it meant to have a woman who didn't compete for attention, who didn't gossip, who didn't start fires just to see who'd put them out. She kept her peace close, guarded, untouchable. And now that he's dealing with people who constantly want attention, validation, and drama, It all hits different. Now he gets it. That quiet strength wasn't just a personality trait, it was a lifestyle. It was power. It was her way of saying, I love you, but I love myself more. And now he misses it. He misses the way she could calm a storm with just her presence, the way she could de-escalate with a sentence, the way her boundaries weren't a threat, they were protection. He didn't appreciate it back then, but now he's chasing that kind of peace again and can't find it anywhere. Because the truth is, peace like that doesn't shout. It doesn't show off. It doesn't chase. It just is. And once it's gone, you feel every inch of the space it used to fill. 6. The Sigma female didn't chase love. She attracted it. There was nothing needy about her energy, nothing that screamed desperation or lack. She didn't move through life hoping someone would notice her. She moved like she already knew her worth, like love was something that would naturally find her, if and when it was right. And that's exactly what happened. People noticed. They always noticed. But not because she tried. It was her presence. The way she walked into a room like she belonged there, but didn't need to be seen. That balance? Rare. She wasn't loud, she wasn't flashy, but she carried herself like she didn't owe anyone an explanation for who she was. And that kind of energy pulls people in without effort. It's magnetic, it's subtle, but it's strong. And he felt it. From day one, he felt it. It wasn't anything she said. It was how she said nothing at all and still made him look twice. She didn't flirt the way others did. She didn't throw herself into conversations, didn't overshare, didn't try to prove she was different. She just was. She stayed grounded, cool, detached in the best way, not because she didn't care, but because she didn't chase things that weren't aligned. And the truth? He knew he didn't pull her in. Not really. Deep down, he knew it wasn't his game, or his looks, or his words. It was her. It was her vibe, her independence, her confidence, the way she knew herself, the way she didn't shapeshift to fit him, the way she let him come to her and didn't flinch if he didn't. That self-trust, that's what drew him in. And now that she's gone, he sees it clearer than ever. Because now he's surrounded by people who try so hard to be chosen, who perform, who post, who chase. But the Sigma female never did that. She didn't have to. She knew love that's meant for her wouldn't need to be chased down. It would show up. It would match her. She never begged for consistency. She became it. She didn't cry for loyalty. She embodied it. And that's what made it so powerful. You could feel it. Even in silence, you could feel it. She had her own rhythm, her own standards, her own peace. And she didn't move faster just because someone else wanted her to. She didn't lower her guard just to be liked. She didn't need a relationship to prove she was worthy. She was the relationship. She was already whole. And anyone coming into her life had to add to that, not subtract from it. That's the part he didn't understand back then. He thought love was about pursuit, about convincing someone to stay. But she flipped that. She showed him that real love doesn't chase. It draws in, and when it's real, it doesn't need to beg. And now that she's gone, every connection he finds feels forced, loud, chaotic. Nothing feels like her energy, because the Sigma female didn't attract with effort, she attracted with essence. That's what made her unforgettable. That's why he still feels the pull long after she's disappeared. Before we hit the last 2 points, pause and share this with someone who needs a reminder of their power. If you're still here, you're clearly feeling this energy, so comment "glow different" if that last line hits home. All right, let's close out with why her silence wasn't just the end. It was his wake-up call. 8. The Sigma female never tried to fix him. She wasn't that kind of woman. She didn't see potential and decide it was her job to shape it. She didn't nag. She didn't push. She didn't try to mold him into some ideal version of a man. That's not how she moved. She observed. She paid attention. She saw who he was, clearly. And instead of forcing change, she gave space. She didn't pressure him to grow. She just expected him to, quietly, consistently, with integrity. She didn't make long speeches about what he needed to work on. She didn't give ultimatums. She didn't play therapist. She simply held a higher standard and stuck to it. That standard didn't come from control. It came from self-respect. She knew what it felt like to grow alone. She'd done it. She'd built herself without hand-holding or emotional shortcuts. So she wasn't going to lower her expectations to make anyone else comfortable, including him. And at first, he didn't get it. He thought she was distant. He mistook her silence for indifference, but she wasn't detached. She was letting him choose. She was giving him room to rise without being pushed. That's what made it powerful. She wasn't trying to change him. She was waiting to see if he would change himself, and he didn't. He stayed comfortable, stayed stuck. Thought she'd always be there, silently holding the door open. But the Sigma female doesn't keep doors open forever. She gives you the key. If you don't use it, she moves on. No blame, no resentment, just distance. Now that she's gone, it all makes sense. He misses her, not just for how she made him feel, but for what she represented. She believed in better. Not in a fantasy version of him, but in the version he could have been, if he'd stepped up. She never begged him to evolve. She assumed he would. And when he didn't, she didn't make excuses. She just left. And now he finally wants to be that man, the one she saw, the one she quietly rooted for without ever saying it out loud. Because that's the thing, when a Sigma female expects more from you, it's not to criticize. It's because she sees more in you, but she won't drag you toward it. She won't carry dead weight. She'll walk ahead, and it's on you to catch up. He didn't, and now that she's no longer in his life, he feels the gap. He remembers the way she held him accountable without saying much, the way she believed in better without demanding it, the way she never begged, never nagged, just trusted he'd rise. And now that he finally feels ready to change, it's too late. She's gone, and she's not coming back. Because the Sigma female doesn't wait forever for people to meet her where she is. She leads, she moves. And if you're not evolving, she leaves you behind. She didn't want to fix him. She wanted to grow with him. He missed that chance. And now he finally understands just how rare it was. Picture this. He sees her again. Not in real life, not across a room or passing by on the street. It's more subtle than that. Maybe it's a post, a photo on someone's story, a name that pops up unexpectedly, or worse, a memory that hits at the wrong time. A random moment where her laugh crosses his mind. A scene where he remembers how calm she used to be, how quiet her energy was, but how loud it felt in his life. And she's still unbothered, still glowing, still focused on her own path, her own goals, still becoming more of herself every day. Without him, no messy captions, no sad quotes, no dramatic updates, just moving forward, effortlessly, powerfully. And that's when it hits him. That's when he finally realizes she wasn't temporary. She wasn't another name in his phone. She was the real deal, solid, rare, the kind of woman who changes the entire atmosphere just by being in it. And he treated her like an option, like she'd be there if he ever decided to get it together, like she wouldn't walk away for good. But she did, quietly, with no warning, no begging, no last words. And now he's stuck watching from the outside while she builds the life she always said she would. The life he could have been a part of if he hadn't fumbled it. Look, it's one thing to lose a person. It hurts. But it's something else entirely to lose someone who actually made you reflect. Someone who challenged you, not by nagging, but just by existing at a higher level. Someone who expected more without needing to say it. That kind of loss lingers. It doesn't go away with time. It's not about heartbreak anymore. It's about missed growth. Because now he sees it. The Sigma female wasn't trying to change him. She was inviting him to rise. And now that she's gone, so is that version of him he never got to become. That's the regret. Not just losing her, but losing the opportunity that came with her. Because when you're with a Sigma female, you're being watched. Not judged, but observed. She notices everything. How you move, how you handle pressure, how you treat people when no one's looking. And she keeps her standards tight. She doesn't stay where she's not respected. She doesn't wait around hoping you'll evolve. Sigma females, we don't settle. We don't explain our worth. We just leave. And we don't look back. No second round, no late-night reconnections, no what-ifs. If she left, it's because she gave you more chances than she ever admitted. And now she's done. And if you're watching this and you are a Sigma female, own it. Stand on it. You are unforgettable. You are the blueprint. You're the one that gets remembered, not because you screamed for attention, but because your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. If you've ever caught someone still watching your stories, liking your pics, popping up months later like nothing happened, it's not because they've changed. It's because they finally see what they lost. But now it's too late. Because your glow, it's not something they can come back and borrow. It was never about them to begin with. You didn't move on for revenge. You moved on for peace. That's what they don't understand. And that's why it burns. Drop your story in the comments. Share the moment you knew it was time to walk away. Let's talk about it. Because there's power in these moments. Power in knowing you're not the only one who's had to choose herself. And if you want more real talk about relationships, boundaries, self-respect, and how to stay rooted in your own power, watch the next one. We're not here to chase love. We're here to attract what aligns. You're not behind. You're just ahead. And trust me, they feel that every single day.